Hey YouTubers, Xander here. This is DeltaRune. I want to preface this by saying that this video will contain the ending of the game as well as massive spoilers. So if you want to avoid that, I suggest clicking away now. That out of the way, I already recorded this. It took me 32 minutes. I realized that I didn't capture the game correctly. So, round 2. Let's go. So this is the ending of the game. Obviously, I already said that. And I have a lot of theories as to how this takes place. And I've seen lots of theories online, read a couple of things. None of them quite matched what mine was, so I figured I'd archive this just in case some slim chance the game gets finished and I turn out to be right. So here we are in the school. We're going to start by heading over here. Again, I'm moving quickly because I don't want to make this half hour. When you first hit the epilogue, you start off in this room, which a lot of people already know. This is kind of the layout of DeltaRune. This is the Fields of Hopes and Dreams. You have this checkerboard thing, and then you have the cards where go up to the tower. And you have this cat here, which is like the shopkeep. So I originally had one theory where the entire gameplay was just DeltaRune was a red herring, and this was just created by their imagination. Now I have a slightly different theory that involves Gaster, because Gaster's been kind of appearing lately on Toby Fox's Twitter apparently, or something similar to it. So people are thinking that Gaster might be behind it, and I'll get towards that at the end. So let's leave the school. There's a few areas I want to point out in the epilogue area. The first being Undyne. Undyne has both eyes. In Genocide run of Undertale, it's revealed that Undyne only has one eye. So this leads to some sort of different timeline or alternate universe, etc. Oops. Hey! I accidentally skipped that. Let's try that again. Alphys. Who's Alphys? No idea who you're talking about. So the point is that Undyne doesn't know who Alphys is. So that's a major plot point right there. So that's something that we know about this, like, whatever it is that those two never met. So if we head over here now, we have a graveyard. First one's Gerson, the old tortoise shopkeeper. I have to assume that he died from old age. I have a small secondary theory that I figured out when I was recording the last one, but I'll get to that later. Crystal. Snowy gemstone for proud mother, Snowdrake's mom. Mutler, a big bone for the leader of the pack. And Shira, a karaoke microphone for a brave singer. So these three right here in Undertale are all amalgamates. We have Snowdrake's mom. We have to assume that this is like the dogma. I think that's what it's called. And then this is Shira, another one. So the three of these, they didn't become amalgamates. They died, or fell down, and they remained fallen down, which means that Alphys never injected them with determination, so something's with that later. Again, Gerson, just old age, or a secondary theory I'll bring up later. Next, we'll head down to this area. Have some birds chirping, the music stopped, and now we have this odd thing. It's a locked red door. I'm going to turn off my microphone and count down with my fingers. When I stop, I'm going to turn my microphone back on. During that time, I'd like you to raise the volume so you can listen carefully. Here we go. Okay. That was a bit fast, I apologize, but I hope you heard a little bit of it. So there's some odd noises coming from this door. I don't have any theories. None whatsoever. Even after my last video, I don't have a squat. So I almost wonder if those noises are part of some sort of ARG thing, or where they can be deciphered. These two buildings, not important. These ones, not a whole very important. The only thing of interest in the hospital is that for some other reason now I can't play the piano. Chris, cannot play the piano well where I used to be able to. Next point of interest is Sans. So we have great to see you again, and who the hell are you? Yeah, it's real nice, isn't it? Especially considering I've never met you before. Name's Sans. So he introduces ourselves, and then we don't have to care. And then he... I'm curious. Oh. Okay. So, in this whatever it is, Sans doesn't know us. But we know Sans. Or we have the option of saying we know Sans. So, again, another timeline type of thing. So for some odd reason... Oh, I guess I need to say this. I've always had a different outlook on Sans than what seems like the rest of the fandom. Everyone in the fandom seems to think that Sans can remember timelines. I don't think so. When you fight him in Genocide, he says stuff like, our reports show. He knows that something is going on with the timelines. However, for him, it is always... Even though it's multiple experiences for us, for him, it's still his first experience. But then there's all the whole, like... But I just think he can read people extremely well. And that's where a lot of his knowledge comes from. Is because he's able to gauge reactions. Specifically, like in the Genocide run, when you die multiple times, hey, that looks like the face of someone that's died 3 times. So that's my thoughts, is that he's just really good at reading faces. So that's why even right now he doesn't remember past timelines. He just remembers he's never met us before, but we remember him, which means that there's multiple timelines. Here we have Snowdrake and Monster Kid. Down this alleyway is Alphys, but Alphys just kind of in an alleyway and is actually a teacher at the school that we left, as well as Toriel. But that'll come back to the Undying thing when I show the final cutscene is kind of like the thing that solidifies my entire theory, so I want to wait until I show that before I go through all the details. The diner just makes a stab at Grillby's thing. That's actually Burger Pants, but he acts like he knows us, but it's almost just because if you don't know about Azrael existing in this timeline, universe, whatever, I just think that Chris and Azrael went to that place a lot, so that's how Burger Pants knows us. Heading down this way. These two guys are just friends. They aren't together like what happens in Pacifist Run. Here we have Asgore. Because I went through this game extremely fast the second time through, you actually get an item that allows you to skip dialogue at insane speeds. So obviously Asgore hugs us because we're his kids still. Okay, we can look around. If we head upstairs, we can see the flowers that are kind of like a nod to the souls. However, they're just flowers. Yeah. And then people say like, oh, this is the bear, these are the souls, blah, 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 blah. It's just kind of coincidence and probably just a nod. As we leave, she's going to give us flowers to give to Toriel. Obviously, Asgore still has a thing for Toriel, but Toriel, not so much. So... even in this timeline, oh, Flower King, that's kind of funny. Even in this timeline, whatever it is, I'm gonna just call it timeline. Even in this timeline, they're still split up. Keywords here: darling, prance on home. This is Mettaton, but Mettaton is still a ghost. So Mettaton is still a ghost, meaning that Mettaton never really associated with Alphys. Again, just another instance of Alphys kind of being a loner. Here we have Braddy and Caddy. They look older, and they actually despise each other, which is kind of interesting. Nothing over there, and then we're back home. So, we're just going to kind of go skip ahead, and boop, 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 boop. I forgot to mention that. Okay. It's only you. I need to remember to mention that, and I hope I do. So here we have our bedroom. This is Azrael's side, lots of awards, very neat. And then we have ours, which no awards, very dark, dingy. Even the color palette's a little bit lacking. Here we have a red wagon with a rusty bird cage, some sort of stain, and whatnot. So we're going to go to bed and it'll show the final cutscene. So we'll start with that. Okay. So now the credits are gonna play and there's gonna be a song, and I'm gonna pay close attention to the song real quick.
When the light is running low and the shadows start to grow and the places that you know seem like fantasy, there's a light inside your soul that's still shining in the cold with the truth, the promise in our hearts. Don't forget, I'm with you in the dark.
Okay. So now we're going to switch over to here. Okay. The game automatically closes after that. So, again, I'm going to try and speed this up a bit. So in that final cutscene, we see Chris rip out its own soul and toss it into a cage. And then go full-blown Kara. My theory is that DeltaRune takes place after Undertale, in a sense, and Genocide Root is canon. So Kara gets Frisk's soul, or your soul, or however you want to look at it. We're just going to say Frisk. So Kara gets Frisk's soul. So what does that mean for Kara? Kara then has Frisk's ability. Saving, loading. But the one that I think is the most significant is the true reset. I think Kara true resets. And where would Kara end up? If it's like Frisk, it's naming the fallen human, and then at the very beginning, falling into the underground. So I think Kara True Reset changed its name to Chris and then fell to the underground with the knowledge of what happens. Because we don't know, back when it came to Kara and Azrael, if Kara ever saved, loaded, or reset, or did anything. Maybe Kara's determination didn't give it that power, and instead the determination let it persist and then possess Frisk. So, Kara redoes its time in the underground instead of sacrificing itself and having Azrael, because it knows that that plan won't work. I'm assuming that Kara comes up with another plan. I don't know what it is, but it works. So, the monsters are free. One thing I want to mention is that, I forgot to mention when we were in the room, Azrael goes to university. That's why Azrael's not in the game. Except for people think like Raziel or Ralse or whatever is actually Azrael, just because of the anagram thing. But I don't think so. So Azrael's just kind of out of the picture, but that's why we're on the surface. But what does it mean if Kara and Azrael never died? Asgore never went on the Tyrant Raid for the human souls, which probably meant that Undyne was a part of the Royal Guard, because there was no need for a Royal Guard, maybe. Which means that sometime between the death of Kara and Undertale, something happened to Royal Guard base that resulted in Undyne losing her eye. Another result is that Asgore never had Alphys become the Royal Scientist to try and figure out a way to break the barrier. So that meant no determination experiments, which meant no amalgamates. So that's why those gravestones were there. So now we know why Undyne, and because there were no Royal Guard or Royal Scientists, Alphys and Undyne never met. And also, Mettaton and Alphys never met because Alphys never had tried to make like a human-killing robot for Mettaton. So we know about Undyne, and then we have the graves. So now we know that the amalgamates never formed, so that's why they stayed fallen down. As for Gerson's death, the small idea I had is that maybe Gerson was dying of old age, but then somehow sacrificed himself to allow the barrier's destruction. Like maybe he gave it to Chris, and that's why Chris was able to cross over the barrier, did some stuff, and barrier, boom, broken. Just a tiny side theory. Again, Sans doesn't recognize us because we must never have associated with him, because we were always with Asgore and Toriel up by like the throne room or whatever, or home or new home, one of the two. Though Sans still says that he's new to the area, which I'm not quite sure what that means. I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to mention. Again, I don't know what the door is. Well, when we get back to the house and we go on the way up to our room, there was a mirror that said, "It's only me." Which means that, unlike Undertale, where it was kind of Frisk and Kara going at it, it was still just pretty much Kara, or in this case, Chris. The kind of fusion of them. However, that kind of changes in that final cutscene. And this is going to go back to the actual the meat of DeltaRune, the game where we're in the Dark World. I think that's Gaster's creation. Because Gaster's been kind of teased at by Toby a little bit, apparently, from what I've heard from other sources. So, Gaster's kind of making an appearance, and that kind of... So what I'm thinking is that in the beginning... The whole beginning of the program where you do the character creation just for it to be discarded was Gaster. Only to say, your choices don't matter. So Gaster created DeltaRune, and threw Chris and I guess Susie in. The question is why? Something that you find out is that you can't do genocide in DeltaRune, in the Dark World. It's not possible. When you fight enemies, they just run away. They don't become dust. You don't gain experience, ever. There's even a boss that you cannot defeat by fighting because it heals itself, and then eventually it gets to a point where it can actually heal itself more than you can deal damage, so it wins the DPS race. So you have to act. So the point is that the game's forcing you to be pacifist. in some senses. So why would, assuming Gaster made this, why? Well, that leads to the final cutscene. Kara, Chris, whatever you want to call it, is shuffling around in bed and kind of gets thrown out. So it's become restless. And I think that it's because, like in Undertale, as Frisk was doing genocide, Kara started taking over. In DeltaRune, when Chris starts being pacifist, Frisk starts kind of taking over. And there's hints of it also in the epilogue. People are saying like, "Hey, you're being more talkative," and stuff like that, and you're being less creepy. So it's almost like maybe Kara was kind of doing it so that Frisk, to kind of keep that hold on Frisk's soul. But then all of a sudden, because of DeltaRune, because there was no choice, the Frisk's soul started rebelling again. To which Kara said, "Oh hell no," rips out Frisk's soul and tosses it in the cage as like a containment. But now that Kara has no soul again, Kara just spawns the knife somehow, not sure how that worked, and then just goes full genocide. So, shortened version, but actually there's no need for shortened version. I just cut off pretty much 10 minutes, so that is the shorter version. But yeah, so that's my theory. I'm hoping that going through this the second time I didn't forget anything. Well, this is very, very odd, and it's only because I saw that credit scene for the third time now. That song. It's almost like Gaster's singing it, but that's, I mean, I know that doesn't make sense, but it seems like it's almost like Gaster's talking to Chris. I don't know, it's odd. Sorry, getting sleepy. But yeah, so that's my theory. I'd really like to know your kind of opinion to anyone that actually watched this. Leave it in the comments, etc., etc. And that'll do it for that. And then, just as an update to the channel, I guess, kind of realized why there haven't been videos. One, I'm really tired after the days I work, and usually during my days off, I've been busy as well. I've been doing stuff. It's not a whole lot, but baby steps. And I realized, back when I first started my YouTube channel, that was because I had a lot of free time. I had moved, I was in an area I didn't know anyone aside from my roommates, and they were super busy with school and work and whatnot. So, I was by myself, and I needed a way to occupy time, and that's why I created the YouTube channel, just to kill time, play video games, just something to do. Well, then I moved back here. I got more time at work. I'm now full-time, so I got a lot more time. And then my days off have been, before when I was hanging out with my friends / roommates, it would be for just a couple hours because, oh, hey, they're next room over or whatever. But now it's like, hey, I have to pretty much dedicate a whole day to hang out with them. So that's one less day that I can do the recordings. And I used to do 2 days of recording just because my voice or whatever couldn't handle it. Well, I can't do that now anymore. So, and also I've been spending time with family, especially the last couple months. It's been like family and my best friend, just all my free time, which isn't a bad thing. I like it, so it means I'm doing stuff. So, because of that, the initial reason that I created the channel has dwindled into nothing. So that's why the videos dwindled into nothing. Now it's pretty much just Hearthstone unboxing and apparently DeltaRune theory videos. So what does that mean? Again, videos probably aren't going to continue that much. Obviously, the Hearthstone ones probably will continue, especially since they just announced a new expansion. But say Subnautica Below Zero, when that comes out, I'll probably make videos. They'll be slow. They'll be far between. They won't be on a daily basis or anything. But it'll be I really want to play this game, so I'm gonna record it and post it and whatnot. And it's gonna be sporadic. So, sorry, but yeah, just without needing a way to occupy my time anymore. It's kind of why my channel died, I guess. Again, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. I don't know. It's just what it is. So, pretty much I think I'm done. I hope I covered everything that I covered in the initial video and just decreased the time this time. So yeah, that'll do it. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Again, let me know what your opinions is on all of this. If you shared, if you think I made some good points, if I'm just an absolute idiot, etc., etc. Enough ranting. I hope you guys enjoyed. And eventually, I'll see you in the next one.